And this is the newspaper segment. So we're going to take a look at the front pages of the National Dailies. But as usual, I have the Daily Trust newspaper here with me. So the major story here says 5 years after commissioning of multi-billion naira Barrow port remains dormant. Why facility is yet to take off. You'll get the details of that. And all eyes on Tinubu. Indeed, you'll find that as major story on page 5 and 6. And I mean, one of the things that Nigerians keep complaining about is how much we put into a project, and then that project would just along the way would stop. When new administration takes over, there is no continuation of that project, and it would be a lot of money wasted. And before you know it, you'd see situations where people start stealing parts of the infrastructures in that place, and before you know it, we're about 10 steps backwards. So it's really really disheartening. I mean, 5 years after this project got to a point of commissioning, but then it was abandoned 5 years after. Imagine the money that was poured into it, and we know how project like this can take when it comes to financing.
And the annoying part is the fact that they have given breakdown, or should I say demands for the funds that they're going to use to build or construct this port, Barrow port. And then where's the money? Why is it abandoned? Because if you if you've gotten all the money that you need to complete it, why is it halfway?
Exactly.
So that's a question to be asked.
Something is definitely wrong, and it's not looking good for Nigeria, honestly. I mean, people are still pushing for other projects, that has been abandoned to be taken seriously. That way we will not be where we are now. At least we would have something generating money for us. So it's really, a sad situation. And the fact that all eyes are on the president is actually true.
The people responsible should be accountable. They should be accountable.
This is where it all boils down to accountability.
Yes, it is really important. We always push for that. We always talk about it, which is very, very important. To clear your name so you don't look like a thief. To Nigerians, because these are things that it's supposed to help Nigerians, and if they're always left halfway.
If you happen to be alleged thief, then please pay off the money. Pay off the money.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from that, below that we see the Niger opens a border. Okay, no, the Niger State opens border with. No, that's Niger. Niger opens border with Nigeria. I get mistaken because I know I saw it somewhere and it was, I thought it was connected to Niger or something. Okay, so Niger opens border with Nigeria. You find that on page 4. I mean, one of our reviewer here spoke about it when we said it seems Nigeria pushing back because they felt a kind of let down.
Yeah, at the time that they felt they needed. And
but then the reviewer said
it was
at the
necessary.
end of the day, no, he said at the end of the day, Niger will benefit more from the open border. So if they don't accept it, then it's going to cost them.
Yeah,
exactly. So it seems they decided to do, put
but then,
the pride
at that
aside.
point, there was a need for the president, or should I say the ECOWAS, to make that decision that they made at that time.
That's the ECOWAS.
Yeah, the sanctioning and everything. So,
but experts were a bit scared that it might affect
the relationship
between Nigeria and Niger, because it just seemed like the ECOWAS were using Nigeria to, hurt Niger. And we all know, Fatima is partly from Niger. So
wow. Really? Why did you have to say that?
Moving on from that, we have the federal government arrasts Miyati Allah leader Botlejo over terrorism. So now there is an allegation there. You find that on page 4 because low-key, we've known of this. He was arraigned. He's been in the custody, I think, of the DSS for a while, and the situation has been a bit hush-hush. There's been a lot of things happening. It was due to, this state policing thing, taking charge of situations. And I knew of the fact that, according to the Bodejo, that he had a conversation, an agreement with the governor of Nasarawa State, Isuli, and then they made a point agreeing that he was going to recruit. I mean, he's the leader of Fulani in Miati. So he already there is this we know the allegations of saying Fulanis are the people making this this perpetration of kidnappings and all that. So he said, okay, if there is anybody that would know who these people are, it should be the Fulani. So he gathered about young youth in order to form a vigilante group. So that was where
that was with Nasarawa. I think it was early this year that we talked about it,
and the video was shown publicly. But then because of that, the federal government had to go deep on it, and they started making their own inquiries. But before then, when you want to go deep into investigation, you have to hold this person.
Yes.
So that was what has been going on with Miati Allah. So finally, now when it's been said, he's been arraigned for terrorism. Now their laying allegations would have to wait and see how that situation unfolds. You find that on page 4. I mean, if there is anyone, doing something like terrorism financing, we saw how the
people funding.
Yes, the bureau, they charged people also that were caught saying that they were financing it. If at all, that allegation comes out and they are not clear of it, then they need to pay for it. I mean, it is not funny. We've
at
lost
this
a
time,
lot of lives.
at this time it's kind of annoying that a lot of things is just going bad for the country. Even though, like I always say, it's not just Nigeria, it's all over, but then we just feel because we are in the country, in this country,
it's not looking safe.
Yes, it's not looking safe, but then people outside would feel we are even safer than other countries, but then it's not. We know we are not safe.
The people of Gaza,
we know we are not safe because it's our own people, it's our own loved ones that are doing this, because one way or the other they have families, and they may have lost families as well in the act of all this terrorism. So I just hope they get to understand and the right people
situation. Yes, and we hope in the course of the investigation, innocent people don't fall prey to it, and then of course the people that are really perpetrating this act, are held accountable. All right, moving on from that, still on the issues of insecurity, it says 18 abducted Sokoto and Gaya students regain freedom. That's amazing. That's a great news in all of this. You'd find that on page 4 of the Daily Trust. And now, beside there, there is a pictorial of what happened in Nasarawa State that I hinted at the start of the show, where it says palliative. Yes, 2 Nasarawa varsity students die in stampede. I saw the bodies of these people and I am heartbroken. I know that, we journalists sometimes need to get hard proof, but it was grossy and I felt that there was no respect for these people's body. It shouldn't have gotten to a point where we need to take them. They were in their most vulnerable state. But it's really sad, Fatima. The point that I for one, I'm one of the people that blamed the coordination of the whole thing.
Certainly.
I blamed the government, I blamed the school, but I also blamed the student. Because if there is one thing that we need to put is that when we are blaming this person, we should look at what
we are doing to contribute to this.
We are so used to not being organized that we jeopardize the whole thing. The governor was supposed to honor this whole thing. He said he was going to come there himself and hand over these bags to the students. And according to calculation, it was alleged that, of course, that bag of rice would have reached about 90% of the students. So if they had been patient to wait for the governor to come there, exactly. But then they took charge, fought back securities, left. You see one person carrying 5 bags of rice. That's how greedy, and unorganized.
Well, in as much as what's happened is sad, and like you said, the organization is poor. But then a hungry man is an angry man at the end of the day.
But you were not expecting the money.
Exactly,
though.
I know. Nigerians are hungry and they are angry. So I could understand, but then there was no need, like you said. They should have been coordinated. They know that it will reach. You are not the only one that is there. And they are trying to help out other students like you. They should have been coordinated, and that's you are students. You don't need to be told to be coordinated.
Exactly.
That's why you're in school.
That's why you're in school. It just needed a bit of patience to wait for the governor to be there. I mean, what best gift for you to meet your governor personally handing out over food for you? It's really a sad situation. And then where I blamed the school and the government was the fact that there could have been a better way to make all of this happen. I mean,
maybe make a list.
Exactly. No, easily. The school has the list. easily. Let's say you take mass
50.
comm 100 level students, and then you say, okay, coordinator of the 100 level student of mass comm. Here is, the numbers. Let's get how many numbers we have. If it's 120, we'll say, okay, about 10 people should share a bag of rice. 10 people. That way, it would reach everybody.
Yeah.
So
well, it depends on the number of students that they're reaching.
Depends on the number.
Yes,
or you can say 5 people per bag. But then definitely that is where I fault the government and of course the school authority. There are lots of ways that this could have happened in order to avoid all of that. And for the other student, if I were you, I would have run from that. I don't go into crowd because there was so much mashing, pressing, and then people lost their breath and all of that.
It depends on how large
the crowd was,
is.
of course.
So
we hope that we don't get a repeat of that, and our hearts goes to the family of these 2 ladies that lost their life. A really sad situation. That, and I can't even imagine what the school authorities are going through. All right, below the headmask there we have encounter, meet identical twins and professors married same day, lecture at the same university. Okay, that's a very good story that you find on page 10. Now, these are some of the stories that you'd find on the Daily Trust.
All right, so let's quickly take a look at the Punch Saturday this morning. The major story there says Tinubu may announce new minimum wage on Workers' Day. Committee target is for president to make announcement on May 1st, says member. Labour spoils for war with governments, insists states have money from subsidy removal. You can find all that story on page 4. Now, below the major story, people underrate my talent. Female barber who cuts customers' hair with knife. Now that's interesting.
Of course, they would underrate your talent. I'm not letting you get near my head with a knife.
She's actually backing. It seems like she's backing a baby while she's doing that. But then I've actually seen a couple of videos of people cutting hair with knives. How it depends on how sharp it is, and they are hitting it with something. And it's actually depends on how.
She's a barber. She's a barber.
She must be.
I'm not taking.
She must be very coordinated for her to be.
I will take you, Fatima, to get your
I wouldn't mind actually. So you don't need
Nobody
to
is going to make me an example of.
So yeah, you can find that story on page 11 on the Punch newspaper. Uncensored, Mohbad's mother opens up on late son, ex-husband Naira Marley. You can find that story on page 17. Belighted by rising food price, Lagosians find succor in discount markets. You can find that story on page 21.
Who doesn't want discount, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like purchasing things from thrift shop, instead
why did you have to even say that? Because you know that we have a thrift conversation coming up.
No,
no. Find a way to
it's just exactly how it is.
I love the fact that the Mohbad story keeps coming up one way or the other. Almost every week, something is coming up. Someone is saying something. At least I know and I believe that there will come a time justice is going to definitely be served, for this innocent soul that left so quickly. So yeah, you can find that story on page 17. Why governors no longer sign death warrants. You can find Ogun, Rivers. You can find that story on page 3. Now, above the belt, U.S. issues red alert as gunmen kill 40 in Moscow. You can find that story on page 10. Now, Sumaya, you can see that I actually saw a story this morning. Yes, it's actually here. You can see the killings. It's not just Nigeria, like I said. There's always,
something is happening in Russia that I really want to, get. We all know after the election of Putin, there was a threat of World War III between the US.
You just gave a name for something. Right
yeah.
Now. You just said something is happening in Russia.
Happening in
Russia.
Just
give me an idea right now. But
this whole thing seems political. We all know how already the US and the UK are so against, Russian government and what is happening in Russia, while the Russian government is saying, no, it's all about my people. I mean, we saw the BRICS even come together to create their own currency in order to surpass, the UK and the US. So something is happening, but it's so sad that this whole thing happening is affecting civilians in the country. Yes, 40 people been killed. It's really a sad news. We hope that something is done about that.
Yes. Okay, so you can find that story on page 10. Follow Oti's step. scrap ex-governors, deputies' pension, Obasanjo tells government. Now, this man is just always trying to,
Is he not
tear up.
taking his? I thought former president also gets theirs.
Well, exactly.
So, or has his been stopped? Because I know they will
I
be
don't
giving
think it has.
something exactly.
So, if he's suggesting that, I think anyway, just take the Punch and go through that story and see why he said so. You can find that story on page 10.
Do you know why at some point, Fatima, I bit agree with him. It's because of most of these ex-governors and deputies are still in politics. You know, they finish and then they come back to the Senate,
yeah.
or or the House or some place,
or they get
ministry appointments
or ambassadors and what have you.
So it's like you're getting double pay. So something is definitely wrong with that. So I agree with him.
Go through the Punch, page 10, and go through that story. Reign of terror, 2 monarchs, 28 others killed in Niger, 7 in Benue. You can find that story on page 8. Now, that's what I was talking about. The killings keeps happening day by day. There is no day that killings haven't been reported on every platform, and that is really sad.
The Niger situation was horrible where they entered the market.
Yes, it is actually
attack people. Really
so
sad one.
Sad one, and our hearts definitely goes out to the families of these people. It's a miracle I survived prostate surgery at 82. Ebenezer Obi.
We help you with the testimony, sir. It's a miracle indeed.
Yeah, definitely it is.
It should be celebrated.
You can find that story on page 18 of the Punch, and that's it for the Punch this morning.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning. Major story says cost of governance, stop paying pensions to past governors and deputies. That's according to former President Obasanjo. You'll find that on page 3. The federal government, NSIA, signed about 38 billion naira pact for procurement of cancer treatment equipment. You'll find that on page 3. Ijaw youth fault former minister on Okwama killings. Okay, now investigation is getting somewhere, on who is to blame for what happened. But then even if you want to fault, the former minister, he wasn't the one that came to kill these people. It's still the youth that are supposed to be the leaders of tomorrow. Somebody, please get those people. We are scared of having them in our society. Dismembering a human being, not to talk of more of someone who sacrifices leaving his own family to protect you, is not okay. And definitely there should be no cornerstone, to that. Somebody needs to pay for that. We have economic hardship, outrage as 2 National University students die in stampede over palliatives. I mean, the outrage I know is towards the government, but we also need to blame the student as well. Tinubu is creating pathways for businesses to flourish. That's according to Information Minister, with the federal government making plans for grants for small and medium business.
We could see him actually, trying to, he's a businessman.
Yes.
So
I know that for that.
Yes, I know that if he's he's a philanthropist. So I know he's going to, try. I won't say he's going to do everything, but then I know he's going to try to see that business and Nigeria gets started, to kind of get the opportunities that it deserves. So yeah. Kudos to him because he's actually trying and he can't do it alone. So he needs that support from us and other people as well.
Indeed. All right, below there we have World Water Day. World Water Day. Federal government, UN development partners vow to address challenges. Yeah, World Water Day. I don't think Nigeria should be celebrating it though.
Why shouldn't they?
World Water Day, Fatih. When last did you see tap water? If it's not from houses that have borehole, what are we saying?
Yeah, so it's the borehole water that comes
to the tap. That is why it's not. There is nothing to celebrate, honestly.
It's actually been long. I don't think there's water on the tap on its own right now at this point.
There is none.
Because it's borehole everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere
and it's not making sense.
Because Nigerians got got tired, and everyone decided to just find a way to get water. And the next easiest way to do, even though it's not easy because you have to make it build it, get the machine that will pump the water and all the the reservoirs and what have you.
It's really a sad situation. Honestly, I don't see ourselves celebrating world water, but then of course we would hold the government on their promise, saying yes. I mean the UN are coming in to say we're going to help out.
That's what I'm saying. Sumaya, we'll look for clean water to celebrate.
But at the end of the day, Fatima, the fact that honestly, this humanitarian help and all that shouldn't even come to Nigeria. Nigeria is the biggest African economy. We should have passed this stage of having water. Basic amenities is what we ask for. Water is one of the basic amenities.
Well, corruption has taken over the economy.
Okay, and the president is fighting back, saying corruption is fighting back. We'll have to wait and see how, we need
to see the battle between corruption.
No, we don't. We want corruption to just collapse.
So it's a battle. It's definitely going to be a battle. So definitely one has to.
But it makes it entertaining as though it's like a boxing ring of Anthony Joshua.
Because it's something that it's like corruption has built a shield for itself in Nigeria. It's like it has built a huge wall that it's going to take a whole lot of. A lot of people that are trying to patch this leakage, and another one is opening.
Sure.
So
I definitely agree with what Fatima said on that one, honestly.
So as much as you really think I'm making it fun, what else can I do? The situation is beyond anybody's
control. And it's really heartbreaking, the fact that the president seems to be the major person that wants to really fight it. There's always a problem when you don't have, when you don't have people that want to support you.
You would have the same mindset and want the same thing as you. That's when it's going to be easy for you to fight certain things, when you have a group of people that you want to work with. And that's why they always choose, their ministers, their senators, their members, their own cabinet members. So let's wait and see what happens.
Yes, hoping for the best. Below the headmaster, we have how breast ironing endangers lives of the girls. Okay. I think most people, way back, parents way back used to do things like that, taking something, a hot steam and putting it and then shaking it, making it go back, because they didn't want the children to develop a breast at the earliest stage. So that's what it's called breast ironing. Look at the pictorial there.
Yeah, I know.
It's just the mentality of our people way back.
Being with my grandmother before she passed, I could actually try to remember. I've seen certain things happen like this. Even though I was young, but then I can remember things like this.
They had an ideology about how you should grow
Sumaya,
with.
I've always wondered who actually even taught them these things in the first place.
Well, they would have to go back to history.
I'm
sure Pasi would do a documentary on that one.
Already. But you'll be surprised to know that there are certain things our forefathers or our ancestors have done that has actually worked. That maybe now, if we try to emulate same thing, it could actually work for certain things, some certain herbs, certain things that
of course. But there is also
like that. But then there's a side effect for
the endangers. If you want to hear the endangers, because I would not be surprised if there are still people practicing this. So you'd find out. Yes, you'd find that on page 24 and 25. On the Guardian Woman page, it says any woman aiming for professional and personal excellence must develop authenticity and resilience. Indeed. Just make something new and then people would definitely follow. It might not be easy, but it would work out eventually. These are some of the stories that you'll find on the Guardian this Saturday.
Okay, quickly on the Vanguard Saturday, Okwama Massacre, the untold story, the fears, the posers. You can find our story on page 10. Killing Fields, 6,931 people killed under Tinubu in 10 months.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot.
A lot of pressure on the president. I don't envy him at all.
Well, certainly. But then, he's not doing the killing. Yes, it's under his regime. I understand that. You can find that story on page 13. I don't know why Sumaya is laughing, but then that's just the truth. Below the major story, 3 university students die in stampede over rice distribution. You can find that story.
So please, don't scare us more.
Everyone is going to, they're going to always have that.
We saw a lot being injured.
Yes. There's always going to be that.
Yeah, figure imbalance.
Yes.
So until everything is detailed, we hope we don't get more. Anyways.
So find that story on page 7. FG fresh borrowings drive up Nigerians' public debt to 97.3 trillion. You can find that story on page 4.
I'm
Now,
not paying any debt because I'm tired of
but
having.
you are working and you are paying it. You know you're going. Tony Elumilo unveils 1,104 beneficiaries of his 2024 program on his birthday. You know, you can find that story on page 6. Now, that's a good one. You know, someone doing something and trying to give back, you know, to the community or to the society. Now, that's a good one. So, yeah. And then the Mieti Allah story, you can find that story on page 8. Well,
3 counts charges.
Yes,
Interesting.
you can go through that story. I don't know, but you know, the Vanguard has found a way of just capturing with the person's name.
Yeah,
so if you want to know more,
and Doyle has always been known for controversy. So
you know that's the only way you make it when you become a celebrity.
She says, "I am a reality TV star
on my
material."
own. Yes. So yeah, go through the Vanguard, page 24. Now that's it for the Vanguard this morning, and. With this, we have come to the end of the newspaper review. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for the phone line discussions. So stay with us.